Hello, fellow map makers. Welcome to this week's live mapping session. Happy to see a few people in the live chat already. Glad you are here, able to join me in tonight's mapping session. I'm Ralph Sherman of Profanity Software, and I'm be showing off one of the Cartographer's annual issues today, and we'll see that we can create a little town map for in the John Speed city style. You might notice that this is the second issue of the very first Cartographer's Annual, published back in 2007, and I've started a little series where I want to go through the different annual issues one by one, at least where they make sense for showing them off in the live mapping series, and we'll see how we get through that volume of 13 different annual issues. As always, if you have any questions during the session, post them in the YouTube chat and Sue will collect them and forward them to me, so we'll see that I can answer what's possible during the session. So don't be shy, ask away, chat whatever you like, while I'll start on my map here. You see, I do have one of the nice example maps open in my CC3 window. John Speed, the name comes from another historian and cartographer, John Speed of Great Britain, also from the 16th, 17th century, not quite a comparator, a little bit later than last week's Garrett MacArthur. But they would probably have known each other and perhaps corresponded in letters, because their lifetimes overlap. And he's quite famous for a lot of especially town and county maps of Great Britain. He produced one of the first great atlases of Great Britain, and that's why we chose the name for the style. Just it's not an exact copy of his work, obviously, but it reminds, or is meant to be a reminder of his excellent mapping work. So let's get to it. To start off the map, I'm going to go on my file toolbar up here on top and click the new map button. And from the map types available, obviously choose the map type cities. I'm sticking with the site settings myself here because I want to set the size of my template while I create the new map. So I click next, and then we have the lots of different styles available from all the different annual issues. Quite a few city maps by now. You can see lots of different ones, and down here, just past the Japanese temple style, we have the John Speed style. As you might see, we only have one template, not a metric and imperial one for this. This is because for the very first ones we didn't think about doing different templates for the two measurement versions, and left it to the user to change between these. So we only have the by default imperial style available here, but that won't be a problem, especially it's matching the type of map anyway from the time. It's from before standardization of metric measurements were introduced anyway, so every country would have its own measurements and styles. So we click next, and we set the size of our map. This will be in feet here, and we're just doing a small town, or basically perhaps a castle with a little village around it, something like that. So we're just going to go by 500 by 400 feet, so to keep our maps small for the live mapping session, and so you can more easily see stuff. And then I'm not going to bother about putting a title in here at this point. I'm just going to click finish, and I'm gonna go to my videos folder to keep that around so I can find the map again. And let's just call this John Speed. And here's my empty map with a catalog loaded. This actually doesn't load the city interface as such. I can do this at this point, but the style doesn't really use much of the tool buttons because it doesn't assume City Designer to be installed. And back at the time, we didn't have the default city menu in the base program as we have today, so we went just with the overland toolbar for this style. So how to start? The style is pure black and white, or actually it's going to give the whole map a little bit of a parchment look if you turn on cheat effects. So let's do this at this point. And so we don't have any colorization or anything, but we do have tools to show off different terrain types, and specifically here a water area. So if we want to do a city alongside a river or a coastal place, we can put in a water area, coastal area first. And we're going to do that by clicking the water large tool in here, and I'm going to put in a little bay here. So I'm drawing the water area, actually not the land area like on many overland maps. So I'm just going to put in the bay here, attached to the map border by clicking beyond it, and then right click to finish our area. You can see the first rendering just shows me the whole outline, but if I refresh the screen, you'll see that this big edge is actually behind our elaborate map border, and there you can see our water area nicely set up with the dark glow to differentiate it from the land, and it's a good start. Next up, I'm gonna add a river here to many towns and cities would be placed along a significant water source like a river, or a site for ships to anchor, or a river crossing where merchants would cross a waterway. So it's typical to have some kind of river in a town or city map. And we don't have a river tool right here on the catalog. I can load up different catalogs on the by clicking the open button above the catalog window, but I don't have a river in here, so I'm going to click the All City Drawing Tools button to bring up all the different tools for our city. And here you can see we do have different other types of drawing tools, or not smoothed straight version for our water body, and we also have some water flows here. We want something smooth and fairly large, so I'm gonna choose the large flow drawing tool, and again just start beyond the map border and draw a river tool. Finish at the coastline here, and I actually have this style does blend the river and the sea quite smoothly into each other, but for that to work correctly we need to move this a little bit into our area here, and there you can see we have the nice smooth transition between the river and the water area. See, it's a fairly abstract style, no realistic depiction of terrain features or anything. And at the time, people would just create the maps with ink and pen, and then you would want to be able to actually read the map and see the details and not bother about filling everything up with ink. So we have a nice terrain layout first here, so we could say we might want to put a castle here on the far side of the river, and more some buildings and streets on the left side. So let's see that we put down some streets first to show our layout. Again, I'm going to click the all drawing tools, and I've got some street tools here. Fairly small area, so we'll just not go with a very wide street. Instead, I'm going to choose the more narrow version, again smooth, and first just lay down a road that goes all across the map. So I will assume we have a river, a bridge here across the river. So draw this by just putting the street across the river, and then this way. So we've got our main street down, and for that, and then we're gonna add a couple side streets. Press the F9 key to attach a street to the existing one. Then get the pick cursor, click on the street, and just here towards the castle, and then same, just a couple side streets on this side of the river. Okay, Sue tells me my mic is scrolling. Can't. So probably a bit too high on the noise level. Let's put it down a little bit. I hope this is a bit better and you can still hear me. Let me know if the sound is bad. Okay, here's our basic layout, and let's first take a look at some putting down some buildings on our town area. And this is one of the most special things about this style, because it's that's the walls actually. That's not where I want to go. I want to go to the houses, and they are actually in Vari-color. So to see the interiors, we can turn on white. And as you can see, they are basically isometric shapes, little 3D versions of the houses in different directions that are shown here. And so we can't use our very fancy random street tools we have in City Designer or anything, because those will mess with the alignment of the symbols. And we have to place these by hand, but this is actually not so difficult. So in a town like these, we would probably have rows of houses alongside the street. So I'm going to choose an angle of the house that matches my street here. So this looks quite fine. And then I can just put one down. And as you can see with the tab key, I'm pressing tab, there's two symbols in the collection in 90-degree angles for those two streets, for those two views. And we can just, if we want to create a closed row of houses, we can just put the corner to corner like this, and have they nice matching each other. Actually, it's not only two symbols, it's four symbols. Each symbol has the four different views of its sides. Basically, with the tab key, you're rotating the symbol through the four view angles, as you can see from the chimney on this symbol. This one is facing lower right. Now the chimney would be hidden behind the roof, facing upper right, upper left, and the last one, the chimney, facing down to the lower left. So as you can see, we have the door here on the house, so there would need to be a gap so people can actually enter the house. So we'll just put the next houses down here. And if we want to change the angle of the street a little bit, we can just pick the next house in the collection, which is just angled a little bit differently. Here we go. We can also just switch back to the house, and this way you can build slightly crooked streets. There, looking pretty good. Now, but we will want to go back up here and extend our street into this direction. And as you notice, if I go down here, my overlap with the houses is kind of wrong. But with these symbols, because they are quasi 3D symbols, we can use the same trick we use in overland maps. We can just sort the symbols, and like mountains or trees, they will, sort themselves into the correct order. So I'm going back up to the symbols menu, choose sort symbols and map, right click and select all. We can select the whole map because it's only gonna sort the symbols anyway. Press D for do it, and there are my houses sorted in the correct order. So I'm gonna, this street has a little bit different angle, so I'm gonna do that. Again, I can adjust the street, make it a little bit crooked as I go along by choosing different houses. I can mix and match the different house directions to depict the odd house that is built where the roof is aligned differently. And then increase the angle here, and this was this one. Choose the next one for straight north view, then go this direction, and this way just build a curve of the buildings next to each other. And just now I'm gonna sort them again. Here we go. And that looks pretty neat. So say we do have some houses in other shapes, larger ones, but actually not too many, because creating all these symbols is a lot of work, because they're all drawn individually by hand by yours truly, and the amount we can do for an annual issue is limited there in that way. So you have a little bit limited selection of different houses, but I'll show you how you can create a little bit different extra ones. So I've got another house again. You see I can change the direction for the house. Yeah, this is how it should go. Actually, a true John Speed map would have much wider streets. For him, it would be most important to show the different buildings and their location relative to each other, not the true view of the city, and therefore he would leave a lot more space between rows of houses and have much wider streets. But I'm going for a more realistic look here, just because I'm used to it. So let's say I wanted a different higher house, something that is higher than this one. I could go in and say I'm scale it independently, so I leave the horizontal scale intact, but make it double the height. But if you see with the isometric symbol, this gets kind of weird because the angles are all wrong, and that does not work. So how do I create a higher house? For that, I go into the symbol manager, locate a matching house I want. I want this one here, and I'm gonna clone it. And house, let's put in a high for the name. So I leave everything else the same, put it at the end. And now I'm gonna edit this open up a new drawing window for the symbol. Zoom out a bit. And now I'm going to stretch parts of the symbol so I get a higher roof on this one. For that I'm going to go in and say Edit, Reshape, Stretch. Now I need to select everything that I want to stretch. All this needs to be stretched. Then press D for Do It. And then I'm going to select all the nodes that I need to move. So that would be all the roof corners. See, I'm not entirely sure I'm catching the one in the middle, but we'll see. And then I'm going to turn off the orthographic drawing modifier. Click a starting point, and then we'll just move the roof up. I can see I didn't catch all of them, so I will have to move them a little bit individually. Here we go. There. And now we're gonna go in and we can actually do Edit, Reshape, Stretch. I'm just gonna move these pieces here and move this up to where we put the other stuff. There we go. And now I can go in, use the Extract Properties command to choose my black window here and just draw in a couple. Oh, turn off Snap though. To indicate a second floor. These are, as they are hand-drawn, would in the original map just be a little dot or stroke with a pen. They should not be exact at the absolutely 100% correct angles, so this looks fine. And then we close the drawing window again and save that. Now I'm going to extract properties from this symbol, so I get back to my... Oh, actually I want... there, where the window just didn't update with the colors. Go all the way... I need to turn on the internal symbols, because this is a symbol defined just in this drawing, not in the catalog I loaded. And here's my high house. Oh, I do need to set my scaling back to normal though. There's my 2-story house in the middle of the town. And then I'm gonna go back here to my normal. You see we also have blank copies of the house shapes where no drawer, no windows and doors, so you can draw in your own or create houses that don't show any obvious windows. But I'm going for the versions which have those here. So I'm going to change the angle of the street here again a bit, and like this. No, this is the other direction. So actually, I want to... This is looking good from the angle. Back this way. Well, I guess I'll probably rather leave a gap here. There we go. See, if you don't want to sort everything, you can start from the always from the top down. That way you'll be placing the symbols in the correct order. Okay, and we can also load up, and you see we do have a catalog called towers, which lets you put in a clock tower or something, or you can build a church. Let's build a church from a larger building and a tower. So let's put in the tower first, and then go back to our houses catalog. And this time we're gonna go for a one without houses. We just need to find this is not the quite correct angle matching the tower, so one less. This is looking good. There we go. And as we can see, we also have a house features catalog. And so we have a big gate here. See, for a church gate, we can scale this down a little bit. And these are perspective symbols that do attach to the lines you mouse over. So we just need to have the mouse pointer close to the baseline of the building. And then by clicking, we have this in here. Then a couple of windows. They work the same way, except I can need to zoom in a bit closer. You first place them on the baseline, and then you define the distance. They are away from the baseline. And if you right click, it will choose the same distance again. And this way you can build a little row of windows on your building easily. We also have some chimney symbols. These work the same way as the buildings, meaning they have fixed angles because they are full isometric little details. Chimney on the church doesn't make that much sense, but we can put, for example, a second chimney here on the chimney one on the roofs. Okay, and then we need to sort our symbols and actually see whether my house details might, yeah, I was fearing that my house details in the drawing order are actually behind the other symbols. So what I will need to do is create a second symbol sheets for those. So I'm gonna name that symbols details, keep that on just below the symbol sheet, and then I'm gonna use here's my sheet effects turned on. Move to sheet, select my windows and my chimney, but not the tower. D for do it, and put it on the symbols details sheet. There we go. And you can see what been turned on here is the, not sure why it didn't show up before, but I guess it's the whole drawing effects. These are sheet effects that are not applied only to one sheet, but to the whole drawing. This is so you get this little more sepia parchment style and the blur to make it more hand-drawn. But now for drawing here on screen, I want to turn them off, so I'll just deselect those effects. And then we just have our glow sheet on the water and have the clear vector style for now. So that's looking pretty nice. We could put a house here on the next to the river. Bridges I'm just gonna leave with the street crossing the river here. No need to draw in specific river bridge symbols. But what we want to do, we do want to add a little wall to our street, to our town. And for that we do have wall symbols. Well, they might look a little bit confusing at first, but basically they work the same way as their houses. They have a fixed angle, each one of those, and you can attach them together. So let's have a look. If we started up here on the corner, I would first start with a tower. We can always add that later as well, but well, we're here already, so why not use it? But I want a little bit of a different angle, like this. And then I go back to my wall. Let's choose the matching angle. For that, see, I need to, well, closely matching angle. Zoom a bit, in a bit, and I can use my eyesight or just the on modifier to attach this to the tower, and you can also attach these to each other if you have the work from the top down, and just choose the lower corner here, and this way the symbols will fit to each other. For a narrow change of direction, let's go this way. Or for change of direction here, you can also overlap them a little bit, so like this, and then you can use the endpoint modifier again. Again, change direction. And this is the straight downwards one. Do need another straight version here. And then we need to change direction here. And here we do actually need a kind of line to separate these, because otherwise this will just stay blank. So what we can do, we can use an end cap here, basically put an end cap here on the wall, and then continue with our... no, this actually covered this up, so that doesn't quite work. So what we are going to do instead, we can add a tower at this point. Choose a straight tower here. There we go. And then continue with our wall. There we go. And finish up with the tower here at the... I'm going to build a little town gate here. For that, I'm going to choose one matching angled tower. This one is looking quite good. Then I'm just going to put in the second one on the other side. Go back to my walls section. Put in a wall here. Now I'm going to sort my symbols. All again. Do it. There we go. And we can, if we go to our house features, add a gate at this point. Actually, I'm still a little bit off with the size, not the default symbol size, but that's no problem. We're looking pretty good. There we go. That's our city gate. You can also, if you want to place towers first and then connect them, you just need to sort the symbols afterwards. But I'm going to continue here with some wall sections. I'm going to build them up. And this is looking good. was always actually see the straight section in this alternates between vertical and horizontal sections of wall. So we can use this to make a straight section and then go back up the other way. Although going up this direction is a bit harder because you can't use the on modifier or endpoint modifier to attach them to each other. That's how you end up with little odd sections like these, but I can always move them around. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to the end, put in a tower. Let's choose let's do a proper city wall tower here, and then go back to my wall section and start working from the other way. And if I etch this here, I can then go in and move the stuff I've already drawn to match up with my city wall. And there we've got fairly smooth section of city wall built from straight sections of straight symbols, actually, but still looking pretty smooth. If you want to clean up stuff here and actually draw in things that will make this more realistic, showing all the lines, you can always go in, set your sheet to the that's the layers, to the symbols details sheet we created earlier, and just draw, say you wanted a nice looking end to the wall here, like this. And then go to the house details or house features, choose a door, and attach this here. It's just a bit hard to get it on the correct piece of line, and that way we do have properly drawn end of the wall here. It's looking pretty good. So we just need a little castle here at the other side of town. So for that, we're now going to go back to the towers catalog again. And I don't need to go back to the white color. And yeah, I'm going to start off with some towers here. So we could put one here. Actually, I wanted to make these a little bit larger than my town walls and towers, so I'm gonna choose this and set it back to normal. This tower here, one here, then I'm gonna put another tower here. I'm gonna mix and match my tower tops a little bit here, different roofs. True medieval castle would probably have different types of roofs anyway, depending on the date the tower was built. The castles were rarely built all in one piece. They got added on and changed over the years quite a lot. So another tower here. One slightly bigger one, or we can do that numerically, just 10% larger. And then we need to connect them with wall sections. Set them back to normal, so they match most of the towers we've done. You can see I'm hiding up the actual entrance here. Looking good. Then going this way. You can overlap them quite a long way, or you can just fill a small gap here, or you can go in and move the existing tower a little bit, so it matches up better. Wall section down here. Again, move the tower. If you want to clean it up in between, you can always do a sort symbol operation in between. Yeah, you can see some of the tower. I think I've put some of the towers on the wrong sheet here. I should move everything to the proper symbol sheet. Let's see whether that helps. No, actually, some of the symbols do not quite overlap correctly. So I will have to look at this, but in the meantime, I'm just going to sort them manually. I can show you that too. If you want to put them in the proper order, I can say I want send behind. I want to, below this entity and this tower. There we go. Or say move, bring in front of this tower, these here, these, and these in front of that tower. And there's my correctly ordered castle walls. That's because the insertion point is unnecessarily on the corner of the wall, so you can put them back together. They don't always sort quite correctly, so you do have to put in some manual ordering here at this point. There we go. Move this tower a little bit. Bring it to front, so it's in front of the wall section behind it. Then continue here. No, that's not the wall section I want. This is the one I want. Here we go, and front this tower here at the end. Now I'm going to put in a larger tower for the final bit. Big keep. So let's choose this one here, make it first a little bit larger than the rest. Looks good, and then I'm going to go in and do the same trick as I did on the two-story house. So I'm going to clone this symbol, tower high, edit it, and do an edit, reshape, stretch. That's all the entities I want to stretch. Press D for do it. And then I need to choose the nodes I want to move. So everything in the top half of the tower. Turn on orthogonal. So I don't make a leaning tower. And there's my high tower. Again, I can go in and perhaps draw a couple of smaller windows. Turn off ortho again. down here. Okay. Since I cloned it, I need to put in the new one. In here, turn my color back to white. Go all the way to the end. There's my high tower. And there it is. Might also put in another building down here below. Just take a look here. Make this like this. Then we do need to front some of the symbols here. And there's my castle. That's probably looking pretty neat. And then finally we can put in a little bit of vegetation. So we do have some trees. Actually, I should go to on the vegetation layer. Set this back to normal size and just put a row of trees alongside the road here. Just scatter a few here along the river. Some bushes here alongside the lake or the sea. We do have a few places where our walls are not quite in the correct order. We're going to front the pieces that should be further up there, and that tower up there should be in the back. So we're going to send it to the back. There we go. Looks much better. And then a few just scattered ink dots to show some fields or open areas. And if we want to clean up wall sections like this here, edit, undo, I can go back on the buildings layer and the symbols details sheet to draw in a little wall corner here, wall edge basically. Yeah. Got the closed edge for a wall. Could do the same down here. No, that's not quite right what I'm doing there. Look like this. But this is just minor details which we don't absolutely need on the map. What we do need is some kind of compass rose perhaps, or map title. You can just put in the map title here. So let's call it the City of White Beach. And it's obviously a bit small for a city, so what we can do, we can go in and actually, I do have a town title, the other one. I actually did think of that when I was creating the style. So let's just choose the town of White Beach. But you could also simply edit the symbol and change the text in there. Then undo a little scale bar. Set this to normal. Scale in feet. Down here on the left. I would probably just clean up some of the symbols here so they are not in the middle of the scale bar. Yeah, and now you can also put in some text labels. size. This is the bridge in. Church. Put in a name for the church. Church of St. Mathilda. Castle Whitecliff. Even make this a little bit larger. Let's have a look. Yeah, we do have a nice glow around the text to make it more visible. It's still an old style glow though, which covers up quite a lot. So let's have a look whether we can perhaps make this a little bit nicer. So, back in the day when I created the style, we didn't have the fancy outer glow style yet. So it's a normal glow style. So what we're going to do is do the outer glow instead. Make it white. I should have looked at the size of the other glow first. So let's do that. Edit. How large is it? 10 units. So that's quite a lot. Turn it off. This on. Make this a bit smaller. So only 5 units. 1 unit blur. But 100% opacity. That's actually very similar. I can make this glow a little bit smaller. 2 units should really be okay. That should be readable. Perhaps the interference between the lines in the background and the text is a bit too much. If you feel it's like that, then increase the glow. Yeah, from this size, from this view. That makes it more readable. And then call this the White River. And if you want to be fancy and make this different color text, we can do, we add a second text sheet, text white, move to sheet, this text, but not the river, do it, put it on text white, and change color prior. No. Changing the prior selection does not work when you've on an entity when you used move to sheet on it, because basically moving it on a different sheet changes the order of things in the drawing. Therefore, prior then gets cancelled. There's our white text on the river. And there we have it, a nice little town map, all in under an hour with explanations and everything. Though it's a fairly complicated style actually, with building stuff up with the different lines, differently angled symbols and building the walls and stuff. But still you can manage that in a good amount of time. What we can do, if you want, if you prefer, you can turn on the whole drawing effects again. The blur is perhaps a bit strong, so let's make it 0.75. And there's your... If you print that on a white piece of paper, that should look fairly nice and hand-drawn. Make a nice handout for your players. Good. I hope you like that. I actually might put this map up for download if you want to check it out, because that's a nice result for an hour's mapping. If I do, I'll put the link in the video description. Any more questions? Nothing here at the moment. So we've been thinking of Sue creating a bit larger map in the styles we do for these videos, so keep an eye on the forum and the Facebook group, and see for some bigger maps in this style. Until then, have a great night, thanks for watching, and see you again next week. Bye bye.